Hey, so welcome to the day one in observability. And today we're going to see monitoring versus observability. So, what is the difference between these two concepts? Okay, so consider one example. Okay, so here, let me just okay, and let me quickly draw a diagram and come back. Okay, so consider we have a scenario where there's a load balancer. Okay, and behind the load balancer there are three servers, 1, 2, and 3, where an application is running. So we get an alert which says CPU is greater than 95% on server 1. Here we get an alert, okay, on this one. So this is monitoring, that you configured an alert and the alert triggered and you got a notification on a pager, Slack, email. So this alert is monitoring. Putting in place alerts about possible issues is called monitoring. Okay, so the alerts could be anything. It could be about CPU, it could be memory, it could be latency, anything which tells us a symptom. Okay, anything which tells us a symptom is monitoring. Okay, then you might ask, what is observability? Let us go one level deeper. So monitoring has done its job. Now then, what is observability? So what is observability? Okay, so naturally naturally when we get this particular alert, or when you get this notification on your Slack or Teams or wherever, you might ask few questions, that why the alert. Okay, uh, two could be load balancer misbehaving. By misbehaving I mean it could be sending traffic to only one server, or third, it could be something like traffic spike. Okay, it could be something like uh, DB issue. It could be a recent deployment. Okay, it could be any of these issues. Okay, so observe monitoring gave you a symptom. Observability helps us diagnose the problem. Observability is about problem or root cause. So monitoring tells us about a symptom. Observability tells us about the possible root cause or the problem. Because if you get a fever is a symptom. The underlying problem is maybe a viral infection. So when you get fever, it means there's a your body has triggered a monitoring mechanism. But when the observability part, the doctor will do the diagnosis and they will then determine if it's a bacterial infection, viral infection. So that part is observability. So what does observability tell us in a bit more detail? So what does observability tell us in a bit more detail? So we can firstly look at metric. Metrics could be anything: CPU spike, memory spike, or latency spike. So observability, firstly we can look at the metrics and see that something is broken. The second one is the logs. So you can look at the logs once you get the DB alert. You can look at or when you get that alert rather. Second is logs, and the logs could show anything, that something like DB query timeout, or it could just say between the DB request and response greater than 8 seconds. Just an arbitrary example. Then we can go one level deeper. We could go one level deeper, and let me write it here actually. Okay, we could go one level deeper, and third one, trace the whole flow. So the request went from the load balancer to server 1, then to database, and this is where the slowness happened. This is where the slowness happened. Just an example. So uh, tracing tells us the whole path. So load balancer, server to database. Okay. So in the monitoring part, we were only so in the monitoring part, we only got one notification. That's it. It did not tell us anything. But the observability was able to give us the complete picture. So you can further, based on the metrics, logs, and traces, take further action. So you know that there's a database slowness. Based on that, you can check for, you know, things like deployment or you can index issues or maybe recent DB changes. You can take a look at anything, and that is what the observability tells us. It gives us the complete picture. So to sum it up, to sum it up, monitoring tells us there is smoke. Okay, but observability helps us helps us find fire. So most important. Okay, most important. Monitoring smoke. Sorry. Here monitoring is about smoke. Observability is about finding the fire. So this is how you remember. Monitoring only tells us where the problem is, but monitoring tells us there is some problem. Observability will give you the complete picture to help find and solve it. So in tomorrow's video, we will take a look at, we've already taken a look at metrics, traces, and logs, but we'll take a look at them in a bit more detail.